Hello, and welcome to the Joss Brown Podcast. With over 40 years of combined financial planning experience, we will discuss our favorite topics, concepts, and stories.
Hello, and welcome to the Joss Brown Podcast. I'm Dan. This is Katherine. Have you ever been on a podcast before?
No, but my family enjoys listening to them, and our firm's excited to start one and teach people how we've helped clients with estate planning, saving for goals, investing, retirement, and risk planning. Have you done this before?
I've talked before, but not on a podcast. More of like a short radio slots. So this format will allow us to go longer conversations.
Absolutely. Nice. And you get the benefit of video as well.
We like video. How did you get into financial planning?
My mom majored in accounting at Howard back in the 60s. She was the first of her family to graduate from college. Her family were oystermen and farmers out in Poquoson, Virginia. And she became an accountant. And I grew up right next to her as she balanced her bank accounts and did the finances for the family. She was open about everything and shared everything. She didn't hide anything from us about what was going on with the family finances. And so that was with me from a young age, and she taught me everything that she knew.
And you said, this is what I want to do.
Well, I said, I have all this knowledge. What am I going to do with it? My dad was an engineer, and he had a lot of stock opportunities with his with his companies, startups in Silicon Valley and the like. And he gave me my first stock certificate when I was little, and I still have that one from a long time ago. He came from a family of doctors, and he told me some wild stories about stock back in the day before the Great Depression. So that was interesting. So that's how I learned about stock, was through the stories he told us. One stock story that he told us was about his grandfather, who was a doctor, one of the few African-American doctors in the 1800s. And he made a lot of money and invested it in the stock market. But unfortunately, we had the big stock market crash of 1929, and he actually lost everything that he had. It was all in stock. He went into depression after that and passed away. And his wife, my great-grandmother, who was a hairdresser, didn't know much about finances, and she kind of disposed of all the certificates, and they disappeared for a long time. Fast forward 50 years later, my family went back and did some research and found those stocks. And now I've got a bunch of cousins who are multimillionaires. So they were able to track that. So I learned from a young age about diversification and about stock and waiting.
What risk is.
What risk is, exactly. And so that was my first intro to money. My mom, the accountant, and my dad with the stock and the engineering. Yeah.
My intro to money was as a paper boy. I had a paper route that my dad, I think, worked so that I could get a job before you were supposed to get a job. So I think I was 11. I think you're supposed to be 12 or 13. Anyway, I did my paper route. And every month I think I got about $60 or $70. Mm-hmm. So I saved that up and bought a motorcycle.
A motorcycle. Wow.
But my undergrad degree was finance and accounting, and I was always interested in that. And then while I was in the Army, I did night school for my MBA. And when I finished that, our second son was born, and I said, now's the time to get out of the Army and do financial planning.
Nice.
And investment management. So I had joined a firm up in Northern Virginia.
Great.
About the same time you were down here.
Absolutely.
2000, give or take?
2000. Yeah.
Good. So we know a lot about financial planning. We're both certified financial planner professionals, and the goal of this podcast is to teach the viewers, the listeners, about financial planning and investment management. And we'll have, we know a lot about lots of things, and we'll have experts that know more about us on certain topics, and we'll have like a Q&A. We'll talk about topics that clients have questions about.
Yeah, I'm excited. We'll get some good stories in there too, of course.
Always good money stories. What's your first money memory? Do you have one?
My first money memory. Probably having to do with real estate. My family was in real estate, and so just going around and watching my dad collect the rent from people, and when they couldn't collect rent, watching them give him gifts in lieu of rent. So it was nice learning about passive income, just kind of watching money come in that way.
It wasn't like he sold anything,
Right.
but he collected for the service of the real estate.
Absolutely. That's how we ended up with our piano. And I ended up taking piano lessons.
That's
Someone gave us a piano.
Somebody's
Yes.
quarters of rent.
That's right.
It's an old Northern Exposure episode where the IRS agent was auditing, and the store owner had collected all kinds of things as payment. So the canoe and all the blankets and things were, that's all taxable income.
Interesting. That's right.
So good. Well, we invite you to watch the podcasts or listen to them, whichever you prefer. And we'll do these regularly and periodically. And we're hoping between 5 to 25 minutes per, depending, probably on the longer side of that. But we invite you to watch the following podcasts. Thank you.
Thank you.